Hello, everybody, and welcome to the K&B Music Den. This is we're utilizing modern technology after all. I was gonna say after all these years, it hasn't even been a year. But
Nope.
my buddy Brad, where are you?
I'm in a Jeep.
You're in your Jeep.
Yeah, I was going to record in a different location, but things fell apart, so I'm in a Jeep this week.
Okay, it's
Yep.
Jeep Week here on the K&B Music Den. So
Yes.
hey, you knew with us it was going to start off when we switched to Zoom. It wasn't going to be straightforward. Brad's in a Jeep. I'm in a pink room for some reason.
Is it pink?
Uh, do you see it's pink?
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, that's the new house. We might
Okay.
eventually paint this room, but for now, I'm Mr. Pink. So, but folks, hey, we are back. I saved Brad the drive this time, and we're gonna try this fancy Zoom thing out that everybody else does. And this is actually nice though because we can start having guests. I already have several in mind that we're gonna bring on. It's gonna be fun. So, but as you clicked on this video, we are here to talk about the brand new Dave Matthews Band album called Walk Around the Moon. Now, Brad, I want to get your thoughts
Sure.
initially, not on the album quite yet, but I want to, oh,
I'm
drinking
not
and
driving.
driving.
I'm not driving.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sitting in a Jeep.
Okay. Good, good, good. Uh, but how will you get home? No, I'm just kidding. So, so first of all, because I don't recall offhand, I've been thinking about it this week. What is your history with Dave Matthews Band? Yeah, big fan, casual fan, not a fan. What's your history?
Pretty big fan. I've
Good.
gone to 3 shows. So yeah, I don't know if you've been to a Dave show, but I've been to
No,
a couple of Dave shows.
nice.
Um, own most of the records. So yeah, pretty big. I was part of the fan club for a while, the
Oh,
warehouse.
wow. Pardon
Yep.
me.
Yeah,
I
no,
feel,
so
yeah. I
so
feel like
definitely some experience.
I feel like I'm insulting you by asking you. Well, I tell you, your fandom actually goes deeper than mine, I guess. But I'm a pretty big fan. Like you said, I have most of the albums. Which, by the way, I've been listening to them leading up to this, so we might want to do a ranking albums in real
Uh,
time with
Not a bad
DMB.
idea.
I think we should strike while the iron's hot on that one.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah, I always thought, it's interesting. I think you'll understand what I mean by this, and I think a lot of other people will. I think Dave is at the same time equal parts overrated and underrated. And I say that because I think a lot of people, they're one of those bands to me like Fish or Grateful Dead, where
Mm,
sometimes I feel like the music part of it gets lost because it's just the experience that, hey,
yeah.
I'm going to a Dave show and DMB. And it's like, I think a lot of times, maybe I'm selling those fans short, but it just seems like a band like you travel to see for 2 weeks and, get blitzed out of your mind. And
Mhm.
it just seems like it becomes more about the culture than the music sometimes. Now, I could be wrong. I'm sitting here saying this. I've never been to a Dave Matthews Band show. So most people will be like, I'm clicking off this video. This
Yeah.
guy's an idiot. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on that since you've been to shows?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag because the Dead and Fish, they had the touring crowd they had because there was such a high appreciation for their music. Um, and it kind of goes back to the whole jam band thing, where
Yeah.
to me, Dave, and this is why it was interesting, doing this album is because I am a much bigger fan of his live recordings than his studio recordings,
Okay.
which is what creates these big groups that follow the tour because you're getting the best of the music on the live set
Yeah.
compared to on the record. So I think that's what creates that communal experience is people want to be there to hear Big Eyed Fish in a weird way, or let's hear how Raven sounds when he does it 3 times. He's only done it 3 times, and people
Yeah.
track the songs he's playing and how often he plays them, and so yeah, there's a live experience to it that I think is a little bit creates a great atmosphere.
That's great. Yeah. Um, well, okay, let's jump into it here. Since you've been to
Mm-hmm.
shows and you have become immediately the expert on this two-person video,
Definitely not an
what
expert, but yeah,
what are your initial thoughts on Walk Around the Moon, the brand new Dave Matthews Band album?
I actually really like it. I really do. And like
Yeah,
I said, I'm not a big studio fan of Dave's. I think the last studio album that I really gravitated towards and enjoyed was Big Whiskey and the Grugox King was a
agreed,
fantastic
agreed.
studio album.
Yeah,
After that, I mean, I don't just give me his live albums. I listen to him. 80% of the time I'm listening to Dave, it's probably 90% is the live albums. So it's rare for me to just take a studio album and really just play it through and like it. But this one's really good. I mean, I was very much impressed with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I felt the same way. And I, it's funny, we're alike on so many things
Yeah,
because it, that's exactly what I was thinking. This is by far the best album since Big
yeah,
Whiskey,
yes,
like by far. Not to say
I
that the
agree.
ones in between those two albums were terrible or anything, but there's just more memorable songs on this album, like there
Agreed.
was in Big Whiskey. Now,
Yes.
again, I've only listened to it a couple times. It just came out a few days ago. As I sit here right now, I couldn't put it above Big Whiskey though.
No,
No,
no.
but
That's
it's
a
not.
that's a hard one to top. That's a
Yeah,
really hard one to top.
yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that stands up with the Under the Table and Crash. I
Oh yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean,
Busted stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
to me, that's one of my highlights of his whole discography is Brugux. And since then, the other albums just kind of go on the underside for me and let me hear another live album. That's where I've been.
yeah.
So yeah, but I'm impressed. When I listen to these albums, a lot of times I think of which songs will become concert staples, which ones will be ones fans wait for and listen for. And there's a couple on this album.
No, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And when the first time through listening to it, I
Mm-hmm.
felt the first several tracks were so stellar. And then,
Agreed.
yeah, and then I thought, well, that's kind of waning a little bit here. But then when I listened to it again, I was maybe not as hard on it. Although I will say, there are two songs kind of about a little over halfway through the album, and now I can check my phone because we're not using my phone to film right now.
Yep.
But the songs after everything, and then it goes into All You Wanted Was Tomorrow. Those two songs to me right there were the weakest on the album. So as it was kind of coming towards the second half or starting the second half of the album, it kind of petered off a bit, fell off a bit
Agreed.
for me, and I was like, oh no, no, no. But then it pulled right back up, and I think it finished very strong. Though, what are your thoughts on that?
This is definitely a side A album.
Yes,
Yeah. When it flips
yes,
to B, there are still good stuff on there, but you're going to want to get back to side A pretty quick.
yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of, I mean, even the standout track, the self-titled track, was it Walk? Man, I'm not even forgetting the name.
Walk Around the Moon.
Yeah, Walk Around the Moon. That track's fantastic. When that starts the whole album off, you're going,
Oh,
oh, here we
yeah.
go.
It's like
And
here
then
they
going
are.
from there, the next 4 or 5 tracks are all fantastic. And then you said it hits a lag, and then
Yeah,
it finishes off nicely. But definitely a side A album.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Now again, his side B on this album is better than a lot of shit that's out there right now. I
Oh, of
mean,
course, yeah.
yeah, let's be honest. But yeah, I think vocally he's singing his ass off on this album. I mean,
Hmm.
he's always had that range where he does the the high stuff
Oh
and
yeah,
then the growly stuff and then the sweet stuff
yeah,
on the more mid tempo or ballady kind of songs.
yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean, going back to that side A thing, it's like the first two songs are just like boom, boom. And then that third song, Looking for a Vein, has more of the acoustic guitar and it's like a
Hmm.
shorter song. And it was like, I think the sequencing on this album is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the order of the songs, which we always talk about albums still matter.
Hmm.
So, and anybody that's watching, subscribes to this channel, albums still matter to you, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So, I thought the sequencing was very, very well done.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
This is to me, this felt like an album he wanted to make instead of he needed to make an album. Like, hey, it's 3 years, it's time for another album.
yeah, yeah,
This felt like one he went into the studio excited to make and kind of was rejuvenated. It sounded like a very thought out album at this time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the albums in between, oh geez, what's it? Come Tomorrow was the one before this, and then
Yeah,
oh geez, I forget
yeah.
the
I forget the
title of
names
the
too. Yeah,
um. Oh, I'm cheating here. I can see the album cover. Oh, this is terrible. Dave
yeah,
Matthews Band's fans are going to be like, you guys, Away from the World. That's right. I'm sorry.
yeah.
And I actually listened to it recently, but the name escaped me. But not bad albums by any stretch.
No, no.
This one seemed more of like okay, like
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Not
Yeah, I
necessarily
agree.
we're back, but
Yep.
it got up to close to that Big Whiskey level for me, which was I need it from Dave, honestly, at this point in their career.
Well, if Big Whiskey was an A, this was a B. I mean, it was not quite Big Whiskey. I don't
No,
know that he'll
yeah,
ever make another Big Whiskey, but there was a lot of factors going into that album. The loss of one of the bandmates
Leroy.
that's going to that's going to bring you a lot of material right there and a lot of emotion and it there was a lot of electric on that album as well. This
Yeah,
album was a little more subdued, so
yeah,
but still very good, very good.
very good. Yeah, and you bring up a good point because the first two tracks were so like, oh, just powerful and
Hmm.
so well written and so well
Yep.
sung and played, and everything was just top notch, top tier Dave. That I was hoping for. See, I like his mellow stuff. I like his upbeat,
Hmm.
showing off the instrumentation of the band stuff. I
Yeah,
like it. I like them both a lot. But I felt like I wanted a little more of that juice from the first two tracks as the
yeah,
album went on, and it kind of lost some of that. But
I agree.
again, and maybe that's what makes it a B for you more than an A.
Well, and I'm going to ask you a weird question. Now, everybody who watches us knows you're a musician.
Yeah,
I'm far from a musician.
ah, stop.
So, question is, on track two, Madman's Eyes,
Yeah,
it has a very Indian sound to it, and it opens up. What is
yes.
that? What creates that sound? Is it certain notes that are played? Is it the what? Like I don't know how to. I was listening to it trying to figure out what makes it sound Indian. If that sounds
Okay.
weird.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. To me, and I've only listened to it a couple times, but to me, it's a combination of it's definitely the notes.
Okay.
It's the pattern of the notes. The scale that is used is very, of
Okay.
that part of the world, let's say. Um,
Okay.
but also, it seems to me they also use some sort of effect on. I guess it's a guitar. I mean, again, I haven't listened to it enough to know if is it a sitar? Is it or
Oh.
is it a guitar with an effect on it? I don't know. I'd have to listen, more deliberately.
Yeah.
But you're right to pick up on that. Oh, and actually,
Okay.
it's funny you mentioned that because I was running some errands the other day. I was off on Friday, and I brought my mom along with me. You know
Mhm.
my mom, and so I said, "Mom, look," I said, I have to listen. She loves to talk in the car, and I love to talk to her too, obviously.
Yeah.
But I said, "Mom, look, I need to listen to this album because I need to review it with Brad on Sunday." I said, "So I'm just going to kind of do more listening." But I
Mhm.
said, I'd be interested to hear what you think because my mom like knows a lot about modern
She's
music.
a music. She's a huge music fan.
Yeah, yeah. 86 years young, folks. And,
Yeah.
and by the way, I'm begging her to come on the channel because she's seriously like music knowledgeable. Her
Oh, she
father
is.
was a professional cellist, which I probably talked about on the channel before, which my grandfather, of course. But anyway, so we're listening to it, and she said when that song started,
Hmm.
Man's Eyes, she said, "Oh, it has like a Middle Eastern Indian feel to it."
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
the mom picked
Makes
up on
sense.
that too. So,
Makes sense.
shout out to mom. We're gonna get you on the channel, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I was excited for this week of new releases with Dave Matthews Band, Paul Simon, Milk
Hmm.
Carton Kids, a bunch of good stuff coming out this
Yep.
week. Pay attention to, and this one did not disappoint.
No, I agree.
It did not disappoint.
Strong B plus
Um,
for me.
yeah, yeah. Um, Over time, I might even go up to an A minus on this, but for right now, I think B plus would be probably
Yeah.
appropriate. Did you have any? I know you're at a disadvantage without notes there, but do you have any standout tracks that you
The,
remember?
the yeah the opening track, like you said, the first two tracks are fantastic.
Yes,
Um, and then like the last two tracks, basically. I mean, it bookends very nice.
dude, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's
Yep.
it's a well
Yep.
bookended album. The
Yep.
last song, "Singing from the Windows," is absolutely gorgeous.
It is.
Um, and I like that versatility about Dave. He's got such an arsenal of talented musicians,
Yes.
but he knows that a full 12 songs of like balls to the wall is it doesn't really provide the peaks and valleys that you're looking
Yep.
for in a great album. And this has peaks and valleys, maybe a little too far towards the mellow by the time you get through the second half. But I mean, those first two tracks alone,
Oh yeah, that's
worth the
price
price of
right there.
admission. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. So Dave Matthews Band fans, weigh in the comments, and let us know what you think of the new album. I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if we do a ranking the albums on these guys soon. Because
Should.
I just listened through anyway, so I'm ready when you are. But
Sounds good.
yeah, so we're making plans during the show here, which is kind of funny. We'll have to watch this back. What did we say we were gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, so for Brad, oh wait, I'm putting the wrong way. For Brett, Oh, I can't too soon. For Brad, I'm Keith. This is the K&B Music Den. As I always say, like the video, subscribe to the channel. What do they got to do to the bell?
Bang it.
Smash it.
Oh, all
Hey,
right.
if you want to bang a bell, folks, that's up to you. That's on your own time. I'm not gonna
True.
judge.
Yep.
But yeah, let us know what you think of the new Dave Matthews Band album, Walk Around the Moon. Yeah, really strong effort from the guys. And actually this brings up, well, we'll talk about on the Paul Simon one, I'm sure, more, but just artists that are, starting to age a bit, getting up
Mhm.
into, their 50s or what have you. And then with Paul, we'll talk about, damn near 80. That's when it's even more impressive. But these bands that we loved in the 90s that are still putting out
Mhm.
really, really solid, important albums. It's
Yeah,
great, man. It's great. It's
it
great
is.
for us. It's great timing for us because we have a YouTube channel now to talk about it. But just as music fans and listeners, as we've always been as friends for decades, I mean, what a great time for music.
Mhm.
I think I don't know. I think things have really
I
stepped up
agree.
lately. And
Yep.
and you mentioned before in another video maybe that people had more time because of COVID to write and not have to
Yeah,
worry about touring, So maybe it got them to dig deep into their well. What do you think about that?
exactly. Oh, I think that's 90% of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, folks. Well, again, weigh in. Thank you so much for watching. We have entered into the modern world of Zoom. So we're gonna start having guests, and yeah, it's cool. So thank you so much, and we will see you soon. We're gonna be doing some more videos here, new content, lots of new releases coming out throughout this year. But this was a really good week for new releases. Let us know what you're listening to. What is there something that we missed? Of course, we don't review everything we listen to as music fans, but so all right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and as we do this here, I'm going to try to figure out how to stop this video. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. See you.